This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Floods rip across the nation, bringing devastation to many. The roads are as deadly as ever, and I will show you why. And paying your bills, why cash is no longer king. But first, our headline story. Asia has been battered by typhoons, bringing rains so prolonged and so severe, many a country now lays reeling after an onslaught of a never-ending deluge. The problem being, the rain just did not stop. It went on for days without pause, giving the land and the people little chance to recover. And many a farmer now looks across his fields and sees nothing but devastation. In their mind, there is a single thought, that of survival, as the damage done is going to have a very serious impact on this year's harvest and, of course, their livelihoods. Typhoon Kananu has ripped through Asia and brought serious flooding to many provinces within the kingdom. It has damaged literally thousands of homes. It has devastated vast tracts of rice fields and left many roads impassable. The volume of water that has fallen is on a biblical scale, as is the damage caused. The spokesman for the National Committee for Disaster Management said the four worst affected provinces by flash floods by these torrential rains were Phra Sihanouk, Kampot, Kokong and Kep. But this problem is nationwide. He said that rains usually thunder down in the monsoon season and then they stop, allowing the water to run off. But this recent unusual rain pattern saw rain fall for nearly an entire week, and the land and the rivers were simply deluged. He added that road traffic along national roads had to be halted, and in Kampot province alone, 4,500 families were severely affected by flash floods. And if that was not enough, a staggering 700 plus hectares of rice fields in that one single province were now underwater. That is 7 square kilometres of land completely submerged. But it only gets worse, as in Kompong Spew, 498 houses collapsed due to the weight of rain, and there were over 9,000 hectares of rice fields there that were completely submerged by water. So that's 9 square kilometres in that single province. And these cases are just the tip of the iceberg. It has been approximated that 7,000 households have been severely affected. And with more rain forecast, the worst is far from over. And now there is many a farmer looking up at those dark grey skies above his head and wondering, what fury will be unleashed upon them next? Okay, I want you to ready yourself and listen very carefully to my next sentence. It is a headline from this week's paper, and it explains all. It says, the ministry urges citizens to drive in the correct direction on expressways. Okay, so it's advised when driving on fast expressways to go the right way, not, and I repeat, not to drive into incoming traffic which is travelling at over 80 kilometres per hour. So the advice would seem very sound indeed. And this warning was issued as quite simply people die. And die. And they just keep on dying. Due to the lunatics that flout the laws. But oh so often, the pleas fall on the ears of the selfish that have no interest apart from their own self-interest. and safety be damned. So let's have a look at a couple of examples.
Here we see a white truck driving into traffic, and luckily enough, it is raining, making it even more dangerous. And do remember that these photos I'm now showing you are taken on the expressways, the fastest roads in the nation. And here is our second example. And look at it, it's a bus. Yes, that's right, a bus going the wrong way up the highway. But if that is not enough, he then went on to execute a 3-point turn in the middle of an expressway. Oh, wow. But you've got to admit, it's kind of funny, isn't it? You know, someone being a complete idiot. Well, how about this next series of photos? Let's see how funny they are. The following photos were taken by a dash cam installed on a bus that was carrying 14 people. In the first photo, we can see there's a white spot further down the road. And in the next frame, it becomes all too apparent. Yet again, we have someone driving on the wrong side of the road, this time to overtake. In the next frame, they are danger close. And then the point of impact. I myself travel an average of 25,000 kilometers a year hunting ancient temples, and I see this behavior not daily, hourly, and maybe not hourly. I can see it driver after driver after driver doing the exact same absurd move. Time after time I have been run off the road. On this occasion, that white car caused this accident. And it is truly tragic because yet again it is just another statistic. We see bodies being carried into ambulances. And one of those bodies was of a dead man. His only crime was paying a fee to get on a bus.
This week's Crime Desk is all about the environment and those people in the Forestry Commission who are damned if they do and damned if they don't. The fact that over 80% of rural Cambodians admit to eating bushmeat at some time over the past year shows how very widespread the practice is, and it is sadly not unusual to see wild animals killed and laid out next to beef and pork in rural markets, where the consuming of bushmeat is still very much a tradition. And it is these markets that are fueling the trade in wild animals, even within protected Forestry Administration areas. This week, we saw photos that showed a wild animal market near Ochov Forestry Administration in Banteay Minche province. The social media post stated that many wild animals, including snakes, birds and turtles, are sold regularly. The wholesale slaughter of birds alone for such markets has left the forest silent. The social media post became very popular as it asked officials of Banteay Minche Forestry Administration to crack down on wildlife sellers at Koh Damri Market to prevent continued wildlife crimes that are devastating the country's ecosystem. But there are some who hold a different point of view. For in this very next story, the pendulum of conservation swings in completely the opposite direction. As this week an angry mob of 350 people set fire to an environmental office in Karachi province, as they were enraged with environmental officials who cracked down on them logging trees in a protected forest. Yes, that's right. The first story was how the Forestry Administration was seen not to be doing their duty, and this one is about when they do, a mob of hundreds set upon them baying for their blood. The riot was triggered when environmental authorities seized a sawmill that was processing illegal timber. And the riot that developed focused on the environmental office itself, and in turn, it was set ablaze. But here is a twist in the tale. The prosecutor of Karachi Provincial Court has stated that the people who set fire to the environmental office were led by a Mr. Ratty. And he, quite incredibly, is the deputy director of the community forest. Now, you would have thought his interest would be to protect the forest, not to destroy it. But, alas, not. It is hard to change small rural community traditions. But if bushmeat and logging does not stop very soon, then simply the land will be devastated and barren, and many forms of wildlife would have been extinguished forever, just like the eld deer, the forest ox, and the tiger, just to name a few. The sign ahead says stop. There's a cliff. But it seems the wagon train of destruction just keeps on rolling. Now let's finish on a brighter note, and it's something positive and something that I like. I like it an awful lot, for this story is about making life easier. You see, today, and I mean this very day, my trousers really annoyed me. I have all this junk in my pockets, the obligatory mobile phone, of course, and my keys, and then I have my chewing gum. I have to have my chewing gum, as I got addicted to chewing since I gave up smoking. Here I am, writing this story in bed, and I am chewing. I just can't stop, and it's not even nicotine gum, it's just the regular sugar-free stuff. But anyway, back to me and my trousers. You see, I got annoyed with all the crap I have to carry. And then I thought to myself, could I get rid of my wallet? Why am I carrying it? And that to me was a culture shock, that I now live in a society so advanced I no longer need cash. And I am not the only one, as digital payments in Cambodia are skyrocketing. Billions of dollars are changing hands, and it's all done by the press of illuminated buttons. And that is really amazing when you stop and think about it.
Cambodia has witnessed a huge rise in mobile payments as now more people move from cash-based transactions to the much easier digital option. So says the National Bank of Cambodia. And you wait until we get into the numbers here, for they are amazing. Now, the total number of transactions in 2022 jumped from 211 million to 333 million, with a total spend of $58 billion. But here is the thing. The amount of spend over the year has increased by an incredible 98%. The central bank said in their report, technology has provided an opportunity to banks to increase competitiveness and to attract new customers. And they are not wrong. ABA Bank has pretty much cornered the market. We now don't say, I will wing you the money, nor do we say, I will pay you the money. What we say is, I will ABA you. And that is testimony to how dominant ABA banking app has become. And it shows very clearly, if you give customers what they want, they will flock to you in their droves. So, all those other banks that are underperforming, please take note. And there is even more, says the central bank, as now Cambodia's payment systems are to be linked with other countries in the region, like Thailand, Laos, Vietnam. And that is fantastic news. No more foreign currency to deal with, no more wrestling with foreign ATM machines and their outrageous fees, and no more the money changers ripping you off. It's just point, click and go. And if you are of a more mature year, then this final image is for you. Do you remember these? These are traveller's checks from the 1980s. It just shows very clearly, kids today, they don't know how lucky they are.
It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
Looking at the weather chart this week, we see that the severe weather warnings have died down. Thank goodness. The humidity is about the high 60s, low 70s, and the temperature itself is about the 26-27 mark. There will be rain, but it shouldn't be as persistent as it has been in recent weeks.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.